Hi guys, today we're going to install Visual PinballX onto the Mini-pinball cabinet. Now we've already installed Visual Pinball onto our desktop setup, but this is a two-screen cabinet, so as before we need to download PinballX. Obviously we're going to use this as our front end, so download the latest version there from GameEX info. Again, you will need to create a profile. Then you will need to download the latest version of Visual Pinball, which is this one here on vpinball.com 10.5, and the beta version 10.6. We're also going to require at least one example table to go through the process of installing tables. I've chosen one on this website. It's called Harlequin, this one here. It's a beautiful looking table, got a lot of features, and you can download this here. Again, you will have a profile, so download this file. Now because we're going to be using this on the with a Backglass, then we also need to download the corresponding Backglass file. Now you can find it on the same website by going through the downloads, and this is the file we require here. Download this file. We then have the table file, the Backglass file, and the only other thing that we need to get this working is the ROM. Now, it's not exactly clear here which ROM it is that we require. The ROM that we do require is called Diamond, and you can get that ROM from pinballnirvana.com. Again, you will require a profile in order to download that file. Okay guys, so the first thing we need to do is to install Visual PinballX into the root directory of our C drive, and in that we've made a folder emulators. Now the next thing we want to do obviously is we want to install Visual Pinball. Now as we did on the previous video, install into the emulators directory in PinballX. There's one or two different things we need to do. We still don't need pin support because we don't have a DMD. Now we've got an option here, do you have a second monitor for the Backglass? Now we're on the cabinet and yes we do, so we're going to click yes here. Okay, it'll install and it'll register the Backglass server and tell you that everything's fine. There's a small dialog box here about the size of the playfield window. Playfield window, we've got 1080 by 1920 pre-rotated, Backglass 1280 by 1024. Those are okay, we don't need to enter any more details in there. Okay, so that's finished. Again, as we did on the previous one, we're going to copy all the beta files and then paste them into the installation directory. We'll have to overwrite some files there, copy and replace, and that'll replace all the previous files with the very latest versions. Now the next thing we have to do is to unzip the Harlequin folder, well unzip those two files. That's the two files that we have, is this one here, and that's the table, and also the direct B2S. Now this is the file that'll run on the Backglass, so both of those two files, copy those, paste them into the tables folder in the Visual Pinball folder. Now as you can see, I've already copied some other examples in there also. So once you've copied the table files over, you then need to copy the ROM. Now the ROM for this file, as I mentioned, is called Diamond, and we paste that into the emulator Visual Pinball, VPin main folder, and the ROMs folder. That's all we need to do in order to get this table up and running. We do need to make some changes to the layout because it's expected to be onto a landscape monitor when we've got it on portrait mode. So we're going to make those changes now. So we'll start that table, give it a moment just to load. The table is loaded and the Backglass is also loaded. Problem is that the table is formatted for a landscape layout, not for a portrait layout. So we're going to change the settings on this in order to get that looking correct. Hit escape, drop down to the editor. Now within the editor we can make some changes to set this up correctly. So we need to go to options, and this will open up a properties window here. If we click the Backglass, this gives us the option to change the settings for the Backglass and the point of view. The point of view obviously is the thing that we're concerned with. So the idea here is that this grey black box here represents our screen, and the grey box here represents the file playfield. We want to get this fill this. We're just bothered about the figures that are in here. and they're self-explanatory. The first four is 0. There's no rotation, there's no layback field of view. We're looking at it directly from above, so all of those are just 0. And by a process of jiggery-pokery, We've figured out what these figures are. The X scale that we want to fill the square is 1.2. The next figure 1.05. The Y scale, Z scale is 1, obviously. And then the offsets, how much for up or down, right or left it needs to go. And these are 0, 20 and 0. So those figures there now, as you can see, they've got the grey box. It's actually slightly bigger than the black box, and that's because the designer of this particular table has got some parts outside that form part of the table but which we don't want to see. Now what we're going to do is start this, and basically what we're looking for is a full screen rotated display. Okay, great. So that's perfect. That's fitting perfectly. It's got some guidelines here which just fit nicely in there, and that is spot on. No more changes need to be made to that. If I just go up a little bit, the back glass is working. No problem at all. Some of the things you need to bear in mind here is that this back glass here is specially designed to use its own dot matrix display. Some tables designed for a landscape view have a dot matrix display in the corner, and when you load those, even manipulated, you'll see the dot matrix display in the corner. Now there are ways that can be moved around, but I'll do another video where we move the dot matrix display to make a landscape table work on our cabinet. But for this video, there's a dedicated back glass that works perfectly in conjunction with the table. Another thing to remember is that the backglass file in the tables folder also needs to have exactly the same name. So sometimes they're a little bit different named because they're suffixes, but if you change the name of the backglass file to match the name of the table file, or vice versa, then they both load perfectly when required. So as you can see, that table is good to go. We need to exit out, and then we drop back into the editor. Now within the editor, because we've changed all the dimensions and the layout, the first thing we need to do is to save that. That'll update the file with all our correct parameters. If we come out of that, we can go into PinballX. Along the list of options here, we have Visual Pinball. Click on Visual Pinball and you can see here that I've now enabled this. Again, the working path is where we installed, and the tables path within that, the PinballX executable, and the parameters that are passed from PinballX to the Visual Pinball program are here. We don't need to change any of those because it'll automatically open those. I'm just going to disable a couple of the others because I just want to show the results from installing this one. Visual Pinball will be the only pinball game accessed by PinballX. So we'll start PinballX now. As you can see. Okay, so Star Trek. I'm just going to make that a little bit quieter. As you can see. So we're going to go to Harley Quinn, and we'll start that table. And what we're looking for is it to load perfectly, load the back glass and okay, as you can see, that's worked fine. I'll stick some credits in, start the game off. Now this has got a lot of options in here, like glowing balls and all sorts of stuff. It's a fantastic piece of work. Okay, so that's the end of this video. As I said, I will go through. If you look at some example tables, you'll download them and manipulate them to get them to fit on our playfield correctly and get the back glass up and running, but you'll find that the dot matrix display is not on here, it's on here. And we need to do, I don't want to do it on this video because it's a little bit of messing and the videos get too long. People just don't want to watch them. So we'll leave that for now. If you've got any questions, please ask in the comments, or if you've got any ideas or anything else we can do with this. Apart from the pin-up project, once we've got everything running, great. Once we've got this running, we'll also install that as well, but we'll do it in another video. So I hope you enjoyed this. Gunther particularly. Gunther was the guy who wanted us to go through this, so I hope that helps. Okay guys, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.